Welcome to Nitty. My name is Mizan, and today I've got a Mk4 GTI for you guys. I think this is a great entry into hot hatch ownership. You can pick up a Mk4 GTI from anything between £1,000 to £3,000. This car is over 2 decades old, so mileage can be high, and it does vary a lot. The biggest problem with these cars is rust and electrical issues, but apart from that, I'm told they're quite reliable. Power wise, this car pushes 150 brake horsepower and 210 Newton meters of torque from a 1.8 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. The engine code is AGU. That's not very fast by today's standards at all, and it wasn't even that fast back then. A Honda Civic Type R EP3 had 200 brake horsepower from a naturally aspirated engine, and this car doesn't even have that much from a turbocharged engine. This car is paired with a 5-speed manual, which is the only option in the UK. So this car is widely regarded as the worst GTI ever made, but I think that's really unfair. The Mark 1 and Mark 2 GTI are legends in folklore, but the Mark 3 didn't live up to that, and neither did this car, yet this car gets most stick. And I think that's really unfair, as I think both are to blame for this. Both are quite heavy, unengaging, and less fun to drive cars than their predecessors. The Mark 5 GTI actually saved the badge and restored the image. The blame should be shared equally for the Mark 3 and the Mark 4, but kudos to the Mark 5 for reviving the history of the brand. What really doesn't help this car is there's lots of variants of a Mark 4 GTI out there. This is the early model, and it has 150 brake horsepower, which was later pushed to 180 in the facelift. Even though it's a turbocharged engine, it's not very tunable and easy to get power out of. This is still the best you can get, and there's some worse choices for engines. There's a 2-litre naturally aspirated version that had just 115 brake horsepower, which is disgusting. That's not the worst version though, as there's a 1.9 TDI version out there as well. VW were truly on a mission to kill the heritage of the GTI badge, weren't they? The other thing I want to mention is this car has constantly lived in the shadows of its older brothers. The biggest brother is the R32, which launched in 2003 with the 3.2 litre VR6. Just below that is another VR6, it's a 2.8 litre. And then after that, you've got a V5 2.3 litre. And then you've got this car. With so many cars above it in the lineup, why would anyone love this when there's better engine choices to be had? This car has got way too many modifications for me to talk about, so I'll talk about the exterior mods only and list all the performance and other upgrades on screen. It's got a full R32 body kit on, so R32 front bumper, side skirt and rear bumper. It has BBS wheels and a full set of R32 wingback bucket seats, including the rear bench. Here's a list of all the other mods. Pause the video if you want to read them. Now it's time to go for a drive, but before I do, I want to show you guys something. If you listen closely, it sounds just like a Golf.
And if you listen carefully, it sounds just like a Golf.
So guys, we're now in the Golf. This is the owner, Sam. Thank you for coming down.
That's right, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, you've had the car for a long time, haven't you?
Since 2008.
2008, that is a bloody long time. Bloody long time. And you built this yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, it's come to me as a standard GTI. Then I started the modification. Took my time really.
What kind of power is it running right now then?
Right now it's probably running about 180. Previously it was running a bit more, but I had an issue with the turbo, so then I had to go back to pretty much a standard map, or just slightly above standard. But the plan was to go hybrid turbo and try and reach about 270.
But that's a bit of a pipeline dream now because of ULEZ, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. So
ULEZ.
I don't know if that's going to happen now.
And you've got all those upgrades like the intercooler, and you only got 30 more horsepower to show for it.
Yeah.
That's it. For turbocharged cars, I'm told that the Mark 4s are not very tunable, are they?
No, especially this model with the cable throttle is a lot harder to tune. Needs to be bench chipped compared to the electronic throttle body version, which is post 2000.
I see. The aftermarket exhaust Scorpion.
The Scorpion, yeah, that's right. So basically the tips are Scorpion, the centre box is Scorpion, and it's 2.5-inch stainless steel catback custom made exhaust.
Wow.
Which I made myself.
You made it yourself, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going to say. Everything that you can see on camera on this car, you literally did with your own bare hands.
That's correct, yeah.
Because you've worked in the motor trade in regards to working on your cars, haven't you?
That's right, yeah.
So you know your stuff. That's quite commendable, man. You know, I think it's a shame that ULEZ has happened and you kind of have to throw your project away.
It is. I mean, I did buy this in my mid-20s.
Yeah.
A lot older now. I don't want to say my age.
Yeah.
But it was an ongoing project, and I would have carried on keeping and modifying it, seeing what I can get out how long it lasts.
Yeah.
And then move on to the next project.
It's honestly a shame. If there's someone outside of London, outside of ULEZ,
Yeah.
and they really appreciate the fine cars and the tasteful modifications that you've done, this is a dream car for them, you know.
Yeah.
Well looked after, well maintained, it's ready to go. Maybe get the power out of it that it deserves, but apart from that, it's got everything, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's ready for stage 2, stage 3 map. It's got G60 flywheel, dark side development kit, which is light into 7 kg, the flywheel, and it's got the VR6 clutch.
There you go. So it's ready to take the power, yeah.
It's ready to take the power. So all it needs now is a hybrid turbo.
So you tell me what you do for a living.
So I'm a gas engineer. I fit boilers, plumbing, heating, literally anything got to do with waterworks.
Got it.
Underfloor heating, the lot.
Let me guess what kind of guy you're. You're attention to detail kind of guy.
Pretty much, I would say so, yeah.
So you heard that. That's what you should go to if you need him, yeah? If you don't mind me asking,
Yeah.
how much did you spend on the build?
I lost count. I'll be honest.
In other words, you don't want to say it in case your wife watches this video. Literally, this car is stage 3 ready, like you said, because everything that's needed to run that power is there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing missing is probably, at the minute, is upgraded injectors and new fuel pump.
Got it.
To run more fuel through it. So,
But even your suspension, just by being sat in the passenger, you can tell it's hardcore geared towards being able to push it around the bend.
yeah.
Compared to comfortable, and I think that was one of the biggest complaints about the stock Mk4 GTI. It was a bit soft and lumpy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it used to feel like when you're taking a bend, it used to feel like it's tilting almost.
Yeah.
Like I said, the whole car's been polybushed, even the top mounts and the suspension. So it feels really tight.
Yeah, it feels insanely tight in this car right now. I mean, I can feel every single stone chip on the damn floor, you know. I can feel the paint marks, you know. The paint probably raises the tarmac by a few millimeters. I can feel that.
It's a car to just basically have fun and throw about.
Yeah, definitely, especially with the price point as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm liking the fact that your needles and the boost gauge and whatnot, they're all matching colours. It's the attention to detail. But yeah, now you're gonna show us what the car can actually do. I can hear the turbo spooling, you know. When does it kick in? 4,000 RPM?
About three and a half roughly.
I see. If only the car had a proper dump valve so I can hear the whooshing noise. Ooh, was that a bang?
Yeah.
So you got no proper bang, man?
It just does it naturally.
Ooh, that was a proper bang. I can hear the turbo spooling as well.
Yeah, it spools up.
I can literally hear it. It's pulling quite decent for a car with the weight it's carrying, definitely. Your brakes feel sharp as well.
Yeah, I mean, the brakes, I've had them on for ages, and to be honest, I've not had to replace them. Because of the ceramic pads, they burn a lot less.
Yeah, they do.
And it barely leaves any brake dust.
Dear Lord, this steering wheel is heavy. Is this got power steering?
Semi power steering.
That is some.
Yeah, like I said, it's tight.
But this is proper raw though, like them old school cars, isn't it?
Yeah.
You kind of want that in a car like this,
But
isn't it?
The reason why it's even more tight is because it's polybushed.
I see.
If it wasn't, then it would be a lot more soft.
Yeah, behind the driver's seat, I can feel it. I can feel the weight.
Yeah.
The passenger seat, you can't feel the weight of the car holding you back. Because obviously, you know how much pressure you're putting on the gas pedal, so the car is so stiff for the roads. Like, this is a track weapon, man. This is a hardcore track weapon. I mean, it's not the fastest thing in the world, but it is built for it. It's a go-kart almost, isn't it?
Yeah, literally, you can throw it around corners.
Literally.
And still hold.
And because it's front-wheel drive, there is a sense of engagement, if that makes sense. I think if this was a four-wheel drive car of 4Motion, it wouldn't be the same, would it?
No. The
So I think that definitely gives the car a bit of character. Yeah, your brakes, when you tap in them, there's no reaction from them whatsoever. But I'm sure if I go ham on those brakes, they will suddenly just stop, won't they?
Yeah.
This car is very analog. I mean, everything feels so old school.
Yeah, it's basic.
You get used to the heavy steering after a while, don't you?
Yeah, once it's moving.
You get, it's like adaptive steering where it gets, the more speed you're doing, it gets lighter, doesn't it? I don't think I could ever daily drive this. Never in my life. It's not raw power, it's just raw experience.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? But definitely, this is a show car. This is somewhere where you can pull up, pop your bonnet open, show off that crazy engine bay, and let people observe it, especially the modification. It's all very tasteful, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the parts are like in the engine.
They're worth more than the damn car. You know?
Got forge diverter valve, got forge intake pipe, cold side relocation, which is forge as well. So yeah, it's got a few like branded parts on it. Oof, sorry. Bloody hell, this car is so stiff. The back end, it feels like it has a different mind to the front. It's like the axles are completely, they're not talking to each other. I've not paid attention to a single time to this boost cage, you know, and I think when I next plant my foot, I need to look at this, see what that does. Do you actually use this, to be honest, or is it a gimmick? No, basically if you got a boost stick, it will show up.
I'll tell you one thing I just realised is, that does not help. Your A-pillar is very obstructive as it is.
It is.
And then the boost cage just adds to it. I mean,
And they stick out quite far.
yeah, I was literally, and I got the GoPro to watch out for here as well, so
there's
that
a
was
big
double.
blind spot there.
Yeah, really. If you ever around this car and you're a cyclist, stay away from his right side. I'll give you that warning now.
You get used to it.
Yeah, you got to keep ducking and diving to see around it. It's such the best thing I can say. It's an analog experience. It's something that I don't think a modern car can do for you anymore. Because a package like this just doesn't exist. This isn't it?
Always prefers older cars. Like my previous car was BMW E30 325. I prefer that raw, rough sort of feeling.
For you, you'd rather not be breaking the speed of light. For you, it's about feeling like you're breaking it. Feeling like you're breaking it rather than actually breaking it.
Yeah.
If this car was faster, you'd probably get into trouble with the police because you would blink and you broke the speed limit. But because this car is essentially a sheep in wolf's clothing, shall I say, yeah, the other way around, you get attention for the police, but it's more because your visual aesthetics rather than, you know, being fast, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's the way you like it, I'm guessing, isn't it?
What, like I said, where I want it to be is about 280, 300 brake. But obviously that's not going to happen now.
Yeah.
Because of you, Liz.
It's a shame, honestly. I think you should apply for classic car. I've heard that there is a clause where you can apply for it, and I see no reason why this car shouldn't be allowed to. I mean, like you said, you don't even drive it that often, so let's be honest here. It's a perfectly good working car. You're driving something that's, you know, paid its debt to society. You know, it's been driven. You know, cost of production has to come into play. When you build a brand new car, there's an environmental impact. Yeah. This car has, I think, paid its environmental impact off, if that makes sense. Yeah. You know, and I think that for you to drive it once a week or whatever, it should be allowed. You know, I think that's what the rules should be around classic cars as such, or even these kind of cars. Mileage restrictions, let's just say, rather than out and out, you're not allowed or this or that.
Yeah.
Because I love an E36 M3, for example. I know people don't like them, but I love them. But they're not ULEZ compliant either. And I think that's a crime, because what are you going to do if you've got one? That's technically not a classic because it was obviously a mass-produced car. Yeah. So I think there needs to be a panel of people that determine what's a classic and what's not, you know?
Yeah, that's true, because a lot of people spent money on these cars.
Yeah, and it's just not fair for you to, I mean, 2008 you've been building this car from. Yeah. So you've invested, what, 13 years of your life into this car, and to just give it away because of, you know, a law on emissions is very unfair. Considering you only drive it once a week, how much harm are you really doing? How much harm are you really doing? Yeah. I think someone in a brand new Golf R is probably doing worse than you know, because he's going up and down, constantly ripping it around, you know? Miss driving a manual car. Different experience, especially when it's a performance car.
I prefer actual manuals compared to an auto or one of those pedal shift?
I think it all depends on the car, because if you're actually gonna rev your car out through every single gear, then it's nice. If you're short shifting, then there's no point of a manual, isn't there?
The Mark IV in general is a car that's very close to my heart. My brother owned two back to back, and his wife had one at the time they got married. So for me, it's the equivalent of a Ford Escort for those that grew up in the 80s and 90s. So to finally drive one was quite an experience. I have to say, with the car running at 180 brake horsepower, which is more than stock and essentially the same as the later Mark IV GTI, it is quite disappointing. Sam's car is an experience due to the modifications he's done. The car feels ready to fly, but it just hasn't got the power. Who'd have thought a turbocharged car would be so immune to getting a decent gain from a tune? It's a shame Ulysses has killed off Sam's hopes and dreams for the project. I think it's harsh that after 13 years, Sam's got to say goodbye to something he's put most of his adult life into. I've told him to get a compliant later Mark IV GTI and swap the parts, but it's clear this specific car is his project, his baby, his dream, and that can't be swapped over. In conclusion, the standard Mark IV GTI is a letdown, and the critics were right. Sam's mission to get to 300 brake horsepower would have changed that, but alas, it just wasn't meant to be. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Take care.